The 42nd floor was silent, except for the hum of city lights bleeding through floor-to-ceiling windows. Celeste Hawthorne sat alone at the mahogany table, her slender fingers hovering over a chessboard that had stumped her for an hour. 35, sharp-featured, blonde hair, pulled into a low bun, she looked like power itself. Dressed down after midnight. The door opened. A man in a gray custodian's uniform stepped in, pushing a cleaning cart. He paused. "Sorry, ma'am. Didn't know anyone was still here." She didn't look up. "Do you play chess?" He glanced at the board. "A little." She smiled cold, testing. "Beat me in this position. I'll kiss you right now." He stepped closer, studied the pieces. Moved once. Twice. 3 times. Checkmate. The word hung in the air like smoke. Celeste's hand froze over her fallen king. Her heartbeat was the only sound left in the room. 2 people. 2 worlds. Same city. Same building. But they'd never touched until tonight. Celeste Hawthorne wasn't born into power, she earned it, clawed it, built it from her father's failing pharmaceutical company into a global empire. She'd been a math prodigy at 7, competing in junior chess tournaments by 9. Her father taught her the game in their basement, the only place he wasn't dying. "On the board, Celeste," he'd say, moving her queen with trembling hands. "You see yourself." After he lost his battle with cancer, when she was 23, she lost her anchor. Work became oxygen. She expanded operations into 12 countries, crushed hostile takeovers, turned rivals into footnotes. The press called her ruthless. She called it survival. Men came and went. They loved her resume, her penthouse, her last name. None loved her. She stopped trying. Every relationship ended the same way. Disappointment, dressed in apologies. The last one, Marcus, a venture capitalist who proposed at a charity gala, left her 3 weeks later for someone warmer, more available. His words. She'd laughed at the time, cried later, alone in her bathroom, mascara running. So she played chess alone, late at night, against puzzles that had no ego and no agenda. It was the one game she couldn't fully control, and that both terrified and thrilled her. Her board was custom-made, carved from Carpathian elm, the pieces weighted and cold. She kept it in her office, a relic from her father's study. Some nights, she sat there until dawn, replaying old games, searching for the move she'd missed. The move that could have saved him. Saved her. The move that would prove she was more than her armor. She told herself she didn't need anyone. The lie worked until tonight. Across the building, 6 floors down in the service corridor, Liam Carter was clocking in for the graveyard shift. 39 years old, tall, lean, with the kind of quiet face people forget until they need something. He wore the uniform without shame. It paid for health insurance. It kept Emma alive. Liam had been a chess prodigy too. At 17, he was the youngest player to crack 2,400 on the USCF rating scale, 2 steps from Grandmaster. Coaches called him the future. Sponsors lined up. The New York Times ran a profile. The boy who sees 10 moves ahead. He was supposed to be the one who made it. Then he met Sarah, fell in love at a college tournament in Boston. She was pre-med, laughing too loud in the crowd, wearing a hoodie 2 sizes too big. They married young. She got pregnant. He kept playing, winning state championships, climbing the rankings. When Emma was 2, Sarah started coughing. 6 months later, they had a diagnosis. Stage 3. Lung cancer. Non-smoker. No family history. Just bad, brutal luck. Liam quit the circuit. Sold his trophies. Worked 3 jobs, prep cook, night security, weekend driver. Anything that kept him close and kept the bills paid. Sarah fought for 4 years. Chemo, radiation, clinical trials that promised hope and delivered agony. She died on a Tuesday in March, holding his hand, whispering, "Take care of our girl." Emma was 6. Now she's 8. Chronic asthma, triggered by stress, cold air, sometimes nothing at all. The emergency inhaler lived in Liam's pocket. The nebulizer sat on their kitchen counter like a third family member. Every night, he listened to her breathe, terrified the sound would stop. He worked custodial at Hawthorne Industries because it offered the best healthcare plan in the city, full coverage, low co-pays, no caps. It wasn't about pride. It was about keeping his daughter alive. He still played chess. Not in tournaments. Not for rankings. But in his head, on lunch breaks. Teaching Emma the moves his wife never got to see her learn. He told Emma the same thing his father told him. Chess teaches you that every piece matters, even the ones people underestimate. Tonight, he was scheduled to clean the executive floors. 42 through 45. He didn't expect to find anyone. And he sure as hell didn't expect what happened next. Celeste stared at the board like it had betrayed her. 3 moves. She'd been destroyed in 3 moves by a man whose name she didn't know. The first move had been simple, a knight fork she'd overlooked. The second exposed her king. The third ended everything. Liam stepped back, calm, hands in his pockets. Short game, but memorable. Her eyes snapped up. Pride and curiosity fought for control of her expression. Her pulse hammered in her throat. She'd played grandmasters. Lost to them, sure, but never like this. Never in 3 moves to a man in a custodian's uniform who smelled like floor polish and humility. You think I won't keep my word? She stood. Her heels clicked against the hardwood as she crossed the space between them. She was smaller than he expected. 5 to 6 in shoes, maybe less. But the way she moved made her seem taller, dangerous. She placed one hand on his shoulder, leaned in, and kissed him. It wasn't long, maybe 2 seconds, but it was real warm, soft, deliberate. Her lips tasted like coffee, and something sweeter, something he couldn't name. When she pulled back, her cheeks were flushed, her breathing uneven. Now you can get back to work, she said, voice tight, controlled, like she was negotiating a merger instead of recovering from a kiss. He didn't move. Just looked at her with something she couldn't name. Not pity. Not judgment. Something softer. I think you just did something very brave. She blinked. No one had called her brave in years. Powerful, yes. Intimidating, often. Cold. Occasionally. But brave? He picked up his cart, the wheels squeaking slightly on the polished floor. Moved toward the door. Paused with his hand on the handle. Good night, Miss Hawthorne. The door closed. She stood there, hand drifting to her lips, pulse hammering in her ears. She'd kissed strangers before, quick, meaningless, regrettable. This wasn't that. This felt like falling. She sat back down at the board, staring at the pieces he'd moved. His strategy had been elegant, aggressive, but not reckless. He'd seen 3 moves ahead, while she was still calculating one. The kind of vision that took years to develop. The kind you didn't lose just because you changed uniforms. Her phone buzzed. A reminder. Asterisk board meeting. 7 a.m. Quarterly review. Asterisk. She ignored it. Picked up her fallen king, turned it over in her hand. For the first time in years, Celeste Hawthorne didn't care about tomorrow. She only cared about the man who'd just walked out and why her hands were still shaking. By morning, curiosity had turned into obsession. Celeste pulled his employee file before her first meeting. Coffee going cold on her desk. Name: Liam Carter. Age: 39. Department: Facilities. Hire date: 11 months ago. Background check: clean. Emergency contact: Emma Carter, daughter, age 8. Then she saw it. Under previous employment. Asterisk. Professional chess player. USCF peak rating: 2,437. Asterisk. Her coffee went cold in her hand. 2437. That was 2 steps from Grandmaster. That was national tournament level. That was the kind of rating you didn't stumble into. You bled for it. She opened a new browser tab, searched his name, found old tournament records, a profile on chess.com that hadn't been updated since 2015, a grainy photo from a junior championship in 2003. He'd been 17, holding a trophy nearly as tall as he was, smiling like the world belonged to him. Then nothing. No tournament entries after 2015. No rankings. No updates. Just silence. She kept digging. Found an obituary. Asterisk, Sarah Ann Carter. Beloved wife and mother. Lost her courageous battle with cancer on the 14th of March 2017. She is survived by her husband, Liam, and daughter, Emma. Asterisk. Her chest tightened. Widowed. Single father. Daughter. With chronic asthma. She clicked another link. A local news article from 6 years ago. Rising chess, star drops. Out of tournament to care for ailing wife. There was a photo Liam, younger, thinner, standing outside a hospital, holding a toddler. Celeste closed the laptop. Shame crept up her spine. Hot and unfamiliar. She'd mocked him. Challenged him like he was some toy. Some amusing distraction in her evening. She hadn't really seen him. She stood, paced her office, heels sinking into thick carpet, looked out over the city she'd conquered and felt, for the first time in a decade, small. That afternoon, she found herself walking through the lower floors. Told herself it was a routine inspection. It wasn't. She never did routine inspections. She found him in the break room on 38, showing a security guard named Marcus how to set up a queen's gambit on a travel chessboard. The guard was leaning in, fascinated, taking notes on a napkin. Liam was patient, sketching moves, explaining tempo and control like he was teaching a masterclass, not killing time on a lunch break. He looked up, saw her, smiled, not mocking, not surprised, just warm. Miss Hawthorne. She nodded, kept walking, heart pounding against her ribs like it was trying to escape. But she knew, with absolute certainty, that she was in trouble. It happened 3 nights later, just past 11. Celeste was leaving late again, heels echoing through the parking garage, keys in hand, when she heard the scream. High-pitched. Desperate. A child. She ran, found Liam on his knees beside a small girl slumped against a concrete pillar. The child's lips were blue, her chest heaving in shallow, desperate gasps that sounded like tearing paper. An inhaler lay useless on the ground beside them. Empty. Emma, baby. Stay with me, breathe, sweetheart. Just breathe. Celeste didn't think. She dropped her bag, pulled out her phone, dialed 911. Her voice came out sharp, commanding. This is Celeste Hawthorne, CEO of Hawthorne Industries. I need an ambulance at 550 Clark Street, sublevel 2, northwest corner. Child in severe respiratory distress. I'm authorizing use of our rooftop helipad for emergency medical transport if needed. The operator confirmed. Celeste knelt beside them, skirt splitting slightly at the seam. She didn't care. Help's coming. What does she need? Nebulizer hospital she needs. His voice cracked, broke, reformed. She needs to get to a hospital now. Celeste pulled off her coat, a $1,200 Burberry trench, and wrapped it around Emma's shaking shoulders. Stay calm. Breathe with me, sweetheart. In through your nose, that's it. Out through your mouth. You're doing so good. Emma's eyes fluttered open, unfocused, terrified. Celeste kept talking, kept her voice steady, even as fear clawed at her throat. She'd negotiated billion-dollar deals without breaking a sweat, but watching this little girl struggle to breathe cracked something inside her she didn't know existed. The ambulance arrived in 4 minutes. Paramedics loaded Emma onto a gurney, started oxygen, IV, monitoring. Liam climbed in beside her, his face pale, his hands gripping hers like she might disappear if he let go. Before the doors closed, he looked back at Celeste. Eyes red. Voice raw. Thank you. She nodded. Couldn't speak. Didn't trust her voice. The ambulance pulled away, sirens wailing into the night. Celeste stood there in the fluorescent garage light, shaking, her coat gone, her blouse wrinkled, mascara probably smudged. She'd faced boardrooms full of hostile investors without flinching. But watching that little girl struggle to breathe had destroyed her. She didn't go home. She sat in her car for an hour, hands on the steering wheel, replaying the moment over and over, the way Liam had held his daughter, the raw terror in his eyes, the strength it took to stay calm when your whole world was suffocating in your arms. For the first time in a decade, Celeste Hawthorne cried. Really cried. Not the polite tears at her father's funeral. Not the angry tears after Marcus left. These were the kind of tears that came from somewhere deeper. Somewhere she'd locked away. She showed up at the hospital the next morning with coffee, 2 large black coffees and 1 hot chocolate, and a stuffed rabbit she'd grabbed from the gift shop without thinking. Emma was awake, propped up on pillows, oxygen tube taped under her nose. Her color was better. Pink returning to her cheeks. When she saw Celeste walk in, her eyes went wide. "Are you the fairy godmother?" Celeste laughed a real laugh, not the polite corporate kind she used in meetings. "No, sweetheart. Just a friend." Liam was sitting beside the bed, looking like he hadn't slept in days. Probably hadn't. He stood when she entered, a reflex. "You didn't have to come." "I wanted to." She handed him the coffee. He took it, hands shaking slightly. "Thank you. For last night. For everything. How is she?" "Better. They want to keep her 1 more night. Make sure the steroids are working." Emma reached for the rabbit. Celeste handed it to her. The girl hugged it tight, smiled. "What's her name?" "I don't know." "What do you think it should be?" "Queenie." "Because you're like a queen." Celeste's throat tightened. "Queenie it is." She stayed for an hour. Brought Emma a book times The Queen's Gambit Times by Walter Tevis, and read the first chapter aloud. Emma asked questions. Celeste answered, making up voices for the characters, getting lost in the story. Liam watched from the chair, something soft crossing his face. Over the next 2 weeks, she came back. Every other day at first. Then, every day. Brought puzzles, coloring books, a small magnetic chessboard that stuck to the hospital tray. Emma lit up every time she walked in. Called her Miss Celeste in a voice that made Celeste's heart ache in ways she didn't understand. Liam opened up. Told her about Sarah. About the years of treatment, the hope that turned into grief. About working nights, so he could be there when Emma got home from school. About lying awake, listening to her breathe, terrified of silence. About selling his trophies to pay for medications the insurance wouldn't cover. About teaching Emma chess, because it was the only thing he had left of the person he used to be. Celeste listened. Didn't offer platitudes or empty comfort. Just sat with him in the weight of it. Shared her own stories. Her father's death. The loneliness of success. The men who loved her empire but not her. The nights she played chess alone, trying to find the version of herself her father believed in. One evening, after Emma had fallen asleep clutching Queenie, Liam walked Celeste to the elevator. "Why are you doing this?" he asked quietly. She hesitated, looked at the elevator doors, at her reflection tired, makeup faded, hair messy. She looked human. "Because I don't know how to stop." He studied her face. "You're not what I expected. Neither are you." The elevator arrived. She stepped in. He held the door. "Celeste?" It was the first time he'd used her name. Not Miss Hawthorne. Just Celeste. "Yeah? Thank you for seeing us." The doors closed. She leaned against the wall, heart pounding, and realized she was in love with a man she barely knew, and his daughter who called her a fairy godmother. It started as a joke. Or maybe it started as cruelty. On the internet, it was hard to tell the difference. Someone in accounting, a guy named Derek, who spent more time on his phone than working, had filmed the moment on the 42nd floor. He'd been walking by, seen the CEO through the glass, thought it would be funny. Celeste's voice, clear and sharp, through his phone's microphone. Asterisk. Beat me in chess. I'll kiss you right now. Asterisk. The checkmate. The kiss. 18 seconds of footage that would change everything. He posted it to the company Slack as a joke. Asterisk. CEOs got game lol. Asterisk. It spread. First, through the company. Then someone shared it on Twitter. Then TikTok. Then Instagram, Facebook, Reddit, everywhere. Number, CEO kisses janitor. Trended globally within 12 hours. The comments ranged from romantic to vicious. Asterisk. This is what equality looks like. Asterisk. Asterisk. She's mocking him. This is humiliation porn. Asterisk. Asterisk. Staged. PR stunt. No way that's real. Asterisk. Asterisk. She's gonna fire him now. Watch. Classic power move. Asterisk. Asterisk. Imagine being so powerful you can kiss whoever you want. Asterisk. Asterisk. Imagine being so desperate you kiss the janitor. Asterisk. The board called an emergency meeting. Shareholders sent emails demanding explanations. The PR team was in full crisis mode, drafting statements, preparing responses. The media camped outside the building. Reporters shouted questions at every employee who walked out. Celeste sat in her office, staring at her phone, watching the video loop. She looked arrogant in it, mocking, everything she'd been trying not to be. The comments cut deeper than she expected. She'd been called worse things, but seeing herself through their eyes hurt. Her assistant buzzed in. Miss Hawthorne. The board is waiting. They want a statement before market close. Tell them I'm handling it. But she wasn't. She was spiraling. That evening, she found Liam in the break room on 6. He was alone, packing his things into a cardboard box. His uniform was folded on the chair. He was wearing jeans and a faded Radiohead t-shirt. Are you quitting? She asked from the doorway. He looked up. No anger in his face. Just exhaustion. Isn't that what you want? What? No. You think I leaked that video? You think I'm using you? Trying to get a payout? Maybe a settlement? Her voice went cold, defensive. Did you? He stood. Walked to the door. Stopped inches from her. She could smell soap and tiredness. You beat everyone, Celeste. Every competitor. Every challenge. Every person who gets close. But you can't beat your own pride. He walked past her, down the hallway, disappeared into the stairwell. She stood there, alone in the fluorescent light, her reflection staring back from the vending machine glass. He was right. She'd built walls so high, she couldn't see over them anymore. And now she'd lost the one person who'd made her want to try. Liam's phone rang at 2:17 a.m. on a Thursday. He was already awake. He'd been awake since midnight, watching Emma sleep, listening to the slight wheeze in her breathing that meant trouble was coming. At 2:15, she woke up gasping. He grabbed the inhaler. Tried twice. Nothing. She was getting worse, lips turning blue, panic in her eyes. He called 911, scooped her up, ran to the car. No time to wait. Drove toward Mercy General, running 2 red lights. Not caring. Halfway there, his phone buzzed. A notification from the insurance app. Asterisk coverage, suspended pending administrative review. Estimated resolution. 5 to 7 business days. Asterisk. Panic turned his blood to ice. The hospital wouldn't treat her without insurance. He'd been through this before. They'd stabilize her. But anything beyond that required payment up front. Payment he didn't have. The medical bills from Sarah's treatments had bankrupted him. He was still paying them off. He pulled into the ER bay, carried Emma inside. The intake nurse took one look and called for a doctor. They got her on oxygen, started an IV. But when Liam tried to check her in, the system flagged his account. Sir, your insurance shows as inactive. We'll need payment information before we can admit her. She can't breathe. I understand, sir, but... He pulled out his phone with shaking hands. Called the one person he shouldn't have. The person he'd walked away from 2 days ago. Celeste picked up on the first ring. Liam? Emma. Hospital insurance is down. I don't know what to. Which hospital? Mercy General. I'm coming. 10 minutes. She arrived in 8. No makeup, hair loose and wild, wearing gray sweatpants and an oversized Columbia hoodie. She looked 19. She looked terrified. She found him in the ER waiting room, head in his hands, Emma on a gurney beside him, oxygen mask strapped to her small face. Celeste didn't say anything, just sat beside him, took his hand. He looked at her. Eyes red. Face hollowed out. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have called. I didn't know who else. I'm glad you did. They won't admit her until the insurance clears. They said it could be hours, maybe days, and she needs treatment now. Celeste stood, walked to the nurse's station, spoke to the charge nurse in a voice that could cut glass. The nurse made a call. An administrator appeared. Celeste spoke again, quieter this time, but with absolute authority. 10 minutes later, Emma was in a private room. Nebulizer running. Pediatric pulmonologist on the way. IV fluids, steroids, everything she needed. Liam found Celeste in the hallway outside the room, leaning against the wall, eyes closed. What did you do? I told them I'd personally cover all costs, and that if they delayed treatment 1 more second, I'd have my lawyers here before sunrise. He laughed, exhausted, relieved, broken. You can't do that. I just did. He pulled her into a hug. She froze, then melted, wrapped her arms around him, and held on like he was the only solid thing in the world. I'm sorry, she whispered into his shoulder, for everything, for not seeing you, for being afraid, for accusing you, for every stupid, prideful thing I said. Afraid of what? Of needing someone, of being weak, of caring more than I should. He pulled back, looked at her, really looked, saw past the CEO, past the walls, past the armor. Saw the girl who learned chess from her dying father. The woman who played alone every night. The person terrified of losing. I need you too, he said. Dawn broke. Emma stabilized. They sat side by side in plastic chairs, drinking terrible hospital coffee from styrofoam cups, shoulders touching. Celeste realized something. She wasn't afraid anymore. When Emma came home 4 days later, she set up a chessboard on the kitchen table of Liam's small apartment. Celeste was there. She'd been there every day, bringing food, reading to Emma, helping with medications. It felt absurdly domestic. It felt perfect. Emma moved upon. Miss Celeste, do you always win when you play chess? Celeste sat down across from her. I used to think I had to, but you don't like it. Winning, I mean. What makes you say that? Emma shrugged, moving her knight. Because when Daddy plays, he smiles, even when he loses. You don't smile when you win. You look sad. Celeste looked at Liam. He was at the stove, making grilled cheese sandwiches, pretending not to listen. But she saw the way his shoulders had tensed. Emma moved another piece. I don't like winning either. I like the part before someone wins. When it's still a story. When anything can happen. Celeste's throat tightened. She reached across the table, moved her knight, deliberately leaving her queen exposed. You're right. That is the best part. They played until the sandwiches burned slightly at the edges. Liam didn't care. He sat down, joined them, and the 3 of them laughed over a game no one was trying to win. Later, after Emma fell asleep on the couch, Celeste and Liam sat on the fire escape, city lights spreading below them like fallen stars. She's smarter than both of us, Celeste said. She gets it from her mom. Sarah saw through everyone's bullshit. Made me a better person just by existing. Celeste looked at him. I want to do something. For kids like Emma. Kids who love the game, but can't afford lessons. Can't afford equipment. Kids whose parents work 3 jobs and still can't make rent. What are you thinking? A foundation. Free chess programs in underserved communities. After-school clubs. Scholarships. For tournament fees. Equipment grants. Maybe even a residential summer program. Liam smiled. You'd be good at that. We'd be good at that. He took her hand, laced his fingers through hers. Yeah, we would. The press conference was short. Celeste insisted on that. She stood at the podium in the Hawthorne Industries headquarters. No notes, no script, no PR team whispering in her ear. Just her. The room was packed journalists, board members, employees, cameras from every major network. I made a mistake, she began, voice steady. I disrespected someone I care about. I let pride and fear control me. I built walls instead of bridges. I treated people like chess pieces instead of human beings. Silence. I'm stepping down as CEO of Hawthorne Industries, effective immediately. Richard Chen will assume the role. He's brilliant, capable, and he actually likes quarterly reports. Scattered laughter. Confused murmuring. I'm launching the Queen's Move Foundation. We'll provide free chess education to kids across the country. Tournaments, coaching, equipment, scholarships, everything they need to play. Because every child deserves to learn that they matter, that they're powerful, that they can think 3 moves ahead and change their lives. She paused, found Liam in the back of the room, Emma beside him, both watching. I've spent my life winning, crushing competitors, building empires. I thought that made me strong. I was wrong. Strength is asking for help. Strength is admitting you're scared. Strength is loving someone even when it terrifies you. She smiled. I'm ready to start playing for real now. The room erupted. Questions shouted. Cameras flashing. But Celeste walked off the stage, straight to Liam and Emma. Emma hugged her. You were really brave, Miss Celeste. Learned it from you, kid. 6 months later, the Queen's Move Foundation opened its first center in Brooklyn. An old community center renovated into a chess haven. 50 kids showed up the first day. 100 by the end of the month. 300 by summer. Liam ran the coaching programs. Taught kids openings, endgames, tactics. But mostly taught them to believe in themselves. Celeste handled operations. Fundraising. Expansion. They opened centers in Chicago, Detroit, Los Angeles. Hired former professional players who'd fallen on hard times. Gave them purpose again. Emma helped with the younger kids, teaching them how to set up the board, how to be patient, how to think before moving. She wore a junior coach t-shirt Celeste had made for her. She'd never been happier. Celeste didn't miss the corner office. Didn't miss the power lunches, the hostile boardrooms, the quarterly earnings calls. She missed nothing, because she had everything. 1 year later, they sat in the small backyard of the house they'd bought together. A 2-story colonial in a quiet neighborhood, with a porch and a garden and a tire swing. Late afternoon sun, warm and golden, summer fading into autumn. A chessboard between them on the picnic table. Emma on the porch steps with a book, legs swinging. Queenie the rabbit beside her. Celeste moved her bishop. If I take this position, you'll lose your queen in 2 moves. Liam grinned. Moved his knight anyway. I know. But this time, I want to lose. Why would you want to lose? Because losing to you means I get to keep playing. And I never want this game to end. Emma looked up from her book. Maybe you both win. They laughed. Celeste reached across the board. Knocked over both kings. Took his hand. I'm not playing to win anymore. I just want to stay in the game. With you. With her. With this life. We're building. He leaned in. Kissed her. Soft. Slow. Like they had all the time in the world. Like they'd already won everything that mattered. Emma clapped. Checkmate. Celeste pulled back, smiling. That's not how it works, sweetheart. Emma shrugged, grinning. I think it is. When 2 people love each other, they both win. That's checkmate. The good kind. Liam looked at Celeste. She looked at him. And in that moment, surrounded by imperfect happiness and second chances, they both knew Emma was right. Checkmate, of hearts.